Gee, all these super robots. I wonder if I might know a thing or two about those. Hello, and welcome to PlebPla, wherein we continue the robot of super months and mixing up words with this, the Earth Engine Impactor from Captain Earth. Captain Earth. This was one of those mecha anime that came out a few years ago to minimal fanfare. Not that it's bad, just that it's one of those things that, as far as I could tell, nobody was talking about. But, as you saw in the intro, we have the moves. All the shinies. Unopened still, because I saw it when it was new. I digress. We're here to talk about models, not my anime DVD collection. Let us begin with the manual. And with that, we come to our large boy, or not so large, the Earth Engine Impactor. Bringing him just a bit closer, allow me to grab from my shelves in a comparison of your average high grade. We have the high grade Extreme Gundam here. When set foot to foot, this is inches taller, but I wouldn't really trust having him stand on his own. I was unable to do so on my own, so let's find out if he truly can stand on his feet. Back here we have a couple of hinge locations that do house unmoving boosters, but that's not to say he is a little unruly. But due to the shape of the feet, as much as you may try, he is not designed to stand on his own, alas. Fortunately, deep inside there, we do have a 3mm peg and a proprietary stand, but that also means that your typical Action Base 2 should, if I quit smacking around the camera, get right up in there. Just gotta find the point. There it goes. At that angle, now he's flying. I digress. Alright, that is a little bit out of order, but that is the number one most glaring thing about this model, is that he cannot stand. He does not stand on his own. Let's talk about articulation. Up here at the head, we get very limited movement. That chin does bump right into the shoulder pieces there. You can see the head is a bit unruly. Just a little bit of wobbling will get you a popped off head. And since we have him here, Kotobukiya, as they do, has their pre-painted faces. So right here we have the one and only pre-painted piece for us. Everything else has some fairly decent color separation. Head goes pretty far back up. And the chin, again, restricts downward motion. Our arms here, we're going to go ahead and bring it in. The arms do get a full 360 motion. You can see inside the shoulder piece, very interesting set of construction going on due to the large size of these shoulders. Inside there you can see that it has its own swinging joint within, and right over here, this joint here has it is a ball and socket, so it does get a little bit of movement going on, but it's very careful amount of movement. Up here at this rotation, too much. I forget how zoomed in I am. Let's turn that back a little bit. Alright. You get a lot of rotation, but it is very, very simple for that to just slide right out. Very simple peg though. But because that falls out so easily, you will kind of have a hard time lining up your elbow pieces to the best of my ability, because I have to also hold this by the stand. I'm not even sure how I want to portray this. Oh, there we go. There's the elbow. This is your maximum elbow bend due to the design of the arm. You can rotate it at the bicep and get a little bit more, but you're not getting much more than 90 degrees. You do have an elbow cuff in here that moves around, but it doesn't really, you don't really see it considering the size of these fists. You do get a, I'm going to unbend that, nice large rotation at the wrist, excuse me. As well as very interesting articulation going on at the hand, which is also another problem due to its inset design. Sometimes you have to make bad decisions or weird decisions because of how something is designed. I'm going to set this down, and you can see here on this peg that this is the natural state of the wrist in the socket, and normally it can flex back and it can flex a little further out. So, like so, if you extend the fist out, you can curve the hand inward. You also have a little bit of articulation right here, but that is for a feature that we will come to. It does shuffle along that way, but that doesn't really serve any function whatsoever. It just happens to be. At the waist, I'm going to try to get him off his stand for a little while. At the waist here, there's so much of him that's right in the way, it's hard to show him off. Oh, we have a problem. We have one of the many problems with this kit's design. One moment while I fix this before things go terribly awry. This is terrible, terrible. Ah, that popped off while doing repairs. There. I've got it, but it really doesn't fix the issue at large. Okay, as we were, I'm gonna leave that in. We're not cutting that dialogue out. You do get a nice lean back. This is your, try to hold them parallel. A little bit of lean forward, hearty lean back, rotation Mostly at the chest, not at the waist. And with the arms not in the way, you do get a lot of rotation at the chest. So, certainly points for that. But this back does get in the way of the arms. These here are all on simple ball and sockets. They are a bit stiff, but there's no real risk of them breaking. This at least is very solid construction. You'd have to be a reckless child or dropping it in order for any of this to snap. But simple ball and sockets right along the waist there. They do not combine, they do not funnel, they do not serve any purpose other than probably, I'm sure there's a term for 360 degree thrusters in space. I want to say MBAC, but I think that's a different thing from a different series. At the legs, these problematic legs. Let's see how well I can get these arms out of the way. You can see this ball joint here. At the thigh, this is incredibly stiff. You can see, just in moving, despite my construction and the little gouge in there, it does not move very well. You do get this is a natural design. You do get a little bit of bend here. At the knee, you will get this large amount of flex, and you get this little thruster cover down here. Technically speaking, you do get a lot of thigh twists, but the problem that I was having with serve earlier, fixed a moment ago, is this, the way it's designed and how you're supposed to rotate it here, it separates. It's the connection, the polycap between this gray piece down under here and the polycap inside there is way too tight. And I even did some sanding to try to soften that up. But unless you handle it directly, like as such, to position your leg, you run a very powerful risk of separating those parts. Once again, there we go. Healing on it. And even moving the leg forward, it wants to slide out of position. So these legs are not well designed. Okay. So, I'm going to pop you back into your stand, I hope, and not into some other mystery hole. The mystery hole. That's not very pleasant. Okay, so we have a very hearty amount of accessories. You will get points for this, good sir. For now, put your head back on. This collectively is known as the Earth Engine Impactor. Inside, you would have the Earth Engine Normal. This is the initial power suit giant robot, because even human size, I think he only comes up to... Why are you focused on the thing not right in front of the camera? I don't understand this autofocus. And we're having a time. The troubles. As you see my fingernail down here, is the pilot is only about so big. So he does go inside the chest here. We get this tiny boy with a little bit of arm rotation. But that's it. The legs, because of the way they have to be so smashed in there, I do not recommend rotating them at all unless you want to risk twisting that peg off and then you're gluing it in place and it's not moving anyway. He will, unlike his larger counterpart, stand on his own. If you've seen the show, you'll see the sequence wherein this goes through a sequence of satellites, everything clamps in down around him, and it's somewhere right in here. Sadly, this is not this was not built with a gimmick wherein to store ZEON Earth Engine normal. Tiny manual stand here. We have a swappable head cannon. I know head cannon often means something else to many of us anime fans. We're just going to go ahead and take the head off. And this little horn here will gently slide right out. And plug this right back in. Maybe. And take it under advisement. You can see that it is literally just a... Maybe you can't see because it doesn't want to focus in the right location. It's so difficult to do because it doesn't focus correctly. You can hopefully see. The moral of the story is I'm trying to say that the horn is just a flip back from one to the other to make the head cannon pop out. Goodness, that was difficult to do. The focusing thing, not the rest in general. Comes with a pair of very large alternate hands, which is simply a case of taking that out and plugging the hand in. Has the same construction as the wrists, or as the larger fists. Goodness, camera. I wish it would just autofocus on what's closest, not what's in the back. It's so dumb. There you go. I'm trying to show off the construction here. Set that aside. Grabbing from the box of accessories down here, we have a couple of open what translation called Bulkin with the BAL. Why are you not focused? A couple of alternate swap pieces that I dropped. They will replace the red bits on the shoulder. So we'll go ahead and try to peel one of these out. Now this is the one thing that I didn't test while I was building it. So we're doing this live and it looks like it just don't want to do. There it goes. You really have to struggle to get your nails in there if you have fingernails, so you might need a tool. And simply plug that in like so. We'll bring this in. Show that off since the camera wants to focus not on what's in front of it and only on what's in it. There we go. You're looking a little sad there, son. I should have actually just set all this stuff to the side instead of putting it in a box. We have a pair of large arm-mounted cannons. Once again, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Alright. So, over here, assume you don't just knock the head off for nothing. You can peel these arm pieces off and simply replace them. Once you get them lined up, of course, as is the troubles that I always have. I'll fix this hand because now you look really doofy. Nope, that works. Now you have a pair of hefty cannons mounted at the sides. And lastly, the more adventurous part, which we're going to have to take a cannon off, as well as one of these pieces here. There are two pretty little blue pieces in there. These can be removed by use of an included tool. This is simply a wedge that the instructions also have you use to get in some of the accents over here in the shoulders and over here along the thighs. Now the hard part is going to be doing this for you on camera without dropping everything, because you need to get your piece right in there. Stop focusing on the thing and try to shove it out without it exploding into the void. Fortunately, we can see that it does not wish to do so. There it goes. I didn't have it in deep enough. Of course, it only goes out so far that now you have to go into a whole separate battle phase to get it out enough without dropping anything. So we're going to pull this aside. I suggest perhaps grabbing it with something that's got more texture, like a vinyl glove, your shirt, piece of cloth that you might use to clean your glasses with. Because not having enough grip on it means that you might go in and use an inappropriate tool and start cutting and gouging into things and ruining your parts. Of course, it took me grasping it with my teeth to get it out. This tiny little thing you go to war with in order to put in this one. Now, of course, it's going to be exponentially easier to get in there because it's so large. In, out, you may have to use your tool a little bit to help shove it, but easily done. And I guess the intention of having this hinge here is so that you won't have to take the piece off to get in there and press things out, but then you just get this, you get this problem. And that'll just pop in here. And there goes the arm falling off. You're going to stay there. So, as much as the end result looks good, the construction and the way it was designed, I'm so frazzled over what I'm trying to say here. ZEON's going to have to say, bench it. Forget about it. Really pass on it. This, for me, was an impulse buy about this time last year. The last time that I had visited Otaku Cafe down south of here before they moved locations, I saw it and I thought it would be really cool because I rarely see model kits for obscure shows outside of Gundam, Super Robot Wars, Ava, you know, the big names. Captain Earth wasn't a big deal. Nobody was out there talking about how amazing Captain Earth was. So when I saw the kit, it was an impulse buy to do what I do. I give things a loving home because they're so out there and obscure. But then the way this was put together, everything that shouldn't be loose is way too loose, and things that shouldn't be so tight are way too tight, and it all comes together and looks good. But once you move it, is this what it's like to have a hand grenade? I've never owned a hand grenade before. Is this what it's like to own the Zeta Gundam? Wow, that literally just hit me right now. I didn't consider that until now. But that is all for this week. Next week, the elusive 5th Friday in a month, meaning we end Super Month with one more super robot. And I'm going to have to ask you to shout your lungs out. Thank y'all for watching. And as always, SIEG ZEON.